I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
If you would like to get your song reviewed, dear listener, there's the filthy capitalist option. As Sori says, 125 gets you straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and then get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at vinsori@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go on the Village, Facebook.com/Vin and Sori. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sori and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch indeed. A child shall lead them.
We are in the middle of a DJ stream for the big homie Chad.
That is Chad's little logo there. The
Actually,
all-seeing
that's Chad's
eye.
eye.
The all-seeing eye of Chadness.
Tool paid him to use his eye to create that.
Correct. Nick, you would probably rethink that if you were in that situation.
Yeah, everybody's begging.
My little brother.
So
because I know nurses who have had to tell people, no, you can't have the vaccine as they're suffocating to death. So be very careful about the things that you say, considering the fact that you don't know people in this room who could have had family members dying slowly of COVID. And I'm sure you wouldn't want to hurt somebody by saying things like that.
That's
okay.
True. And how often do we know whether our words are just words or whether they are prayers? Who knows what you just prayed for? Anyway, My Sweet Shadow by the band In Flames is next, but this is the remix version.
This is the remix.
Let's dive into this. He's picked an interesting lineup of songs.
Yes.
They've
yes.
especially
DJ
the
Chad.
last one threw me off. I was like, wait,
DJ
what?
Chad is he's this is the think stream.
Yep.
You got to think. You got to be a thinking person. Otherwise, it's over for you. Okay. So the name of this song is
My Sweet
Shadow, and for some reason I cannot find
And
this
I wonder
freaking video.
if the shadow is going to be your shadow self, your significant other.
All of the woo woo we've been knee deep in for
your darkened past.
Whatever. Yeah. And I literally completely lost the freaking download. Where the hell did it go?
Maybe they've romanticized.
Oh, there it is.
Stalker.
They've romanticized. Oh, so the stalker would then be the sweet shadow that
Right.
you're.
Right.
I see.
Or it's one of those crazy people that flips a script, so they're actually the stalker, but they're looking at the person that they're stalking as their stalker. You know what I mean?
Right.
Everywhere I go.
No, we're not saying rock on. We're not saying rock on communism. What we're saying is
nobody said
in
that.
the midst of a pandemic, making jokes about dying slowly of COVID is probably not the most tasteful thing to do. That's all we said. All right.
Right.
My Sweet Shadow. This is a remix. Let's go. Where the party at?
I'm selling him in this kitchen. The world out of my mind. explode in purity, to feel the holes was inside. Never moving stream, the glowing rays of light, emotions tied to past lives, and I know I should let go.
Definitely 9 Inch Nails type vibe, yeah. That hey Goth Mom and his house. That was My Sweet Shadow from the band In Flames. That was a remix version, so there's an original version. Alan Thompson apparently is very high right now. Well, I'd rather you be around us, Alan, than on the road or something like that.
I don't know how to say this.
Sit tight.
Other than I don't enjoy this sober.
He didn't enjoy it sober.
He's sober, right? I thought he's saying that he's sober and he didn't enjoy it.
Oh, okay. So he's not high.
Right. Okay. Let's not spread false rumors.
That's right. That's right. We need to spread.
And AT's probably
we need
like
to spread
18
true.
years old, not even old enough to be able to drink.
We need to spread true rumors.
Yeah, true rumors. Tell us something else you've done that you shouldn't have. Anyway, so what?
Email that to me, Amy. Email that to me, Amy Lee.
About?
Amy Lee, email me that link, por favor. What is the song about? Well, he's selling heavenly sketches, he says.
Yeah, I didn't really understand the song.
Okay, I'm selling heavenly sketches, a world out of my mind, ready to explode in purity to fill the holes inside. An ever-moving stream with glowing rays of light, emotions tied to past lies, and I know I should let go. So he's saying that he's selling it. You know how you say, oh, you're selling something? That means you're promoting something, but you don't really believe in it, but you're selling it.
Oh.
So maybe he's selling.
Oh, hey.
Go ahead.
You're good at lyrical breakdown. I might come check out your channel.
Ah.
That's good. Yeah, that's true. I'm selling heavenly sketches, a world out of my mind. So he's saying this idea of heaven and all, it's just fake. It's just somebody has it in their mind. I'm trying to sell it to other people.
Well, everybody has a version. Everybody
purity.
has a version of what heaven is, right? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he's saying, I'm selling heavenly sketches because he's an artist, right? So he's selling. So I think what he's saying, I think there's some of that cynicism, like there's no such thing as heaven, but he's selling it. Mm-hmm. So it's not genuine.
To fill the holes inside.
Yeah.
I hate holes, but remember how there was that hole? You have a God-shaped void inside.
Yeah. Which was also part of the first song where he was talking about the void inside of himself that he's trying to. Looks like DJ Chad is trying to work this out internally. Here, huh, Chad? I think that there's some of that going on with you. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that his. Yeah, the songs came at different times too. Anyway, okay. An ever moving stream with glowing rays of light, emotions tied to past lies, and I know I should let go.
So yeah, he's like choosing to like mentally. Like live in this kind of world or project this kind of world, but whatever it is, it's over. When he says past lies, it's over. Just go. Like he says he knows he should let it go, but he's having a hard time letting that version go.
And you think he's talking about a religion?
I don't know. It could be anything. I mean, what are the heavenly sketches? I mean, who knows? It could be a relationship. It could be I'm very happy because I'm a rock star. It could be it's whatever. I think that line, that first verse, is whatever it is that you project out to people that is not true, but you're projecting it out to people because you want people to feel like you're in a better situation than you really are, and it's connected to some past, like what you were or whatever, connected to past lies that he knows he should let go. So it could be a relationship, it could be anything. Yeah,
there's lots of ways that could go. I would say that for me, my religion was this for the longest time.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yep. So explicate that, you heretic.
Okay, I'm selling heavenly sketches. So it was, we were taught that if somebody doesn't become a Christian, that they're going to go to hell. And if you didn't properly tell them the gospel or the story about God, then they would go to hell and the blood would be on your hands. So it did put like this certain pressure, this kind of panicky feeling because you have to make sure that, like, I don't want to sell something if I don't believe in my product. Let me put it to you that way. So I'm not going to, you're never going to see me selling certain items ever. Those pyramid schemey type of things, or they sell crap to people. I'm not going to do that.
We had a girl at church that was doing it.
Yeah, I don't get into that, and I don't get into I don't like when people are trying to sell it to me either. Like, I'll throw in with you and buy it if I like you or whatever, but I don't like those types of things. Anyway, so mainly because if I would be into it if I believed in it. So like doTERRA. There was like a smidge of time where I almost started selling doTERRA because it was everything that I was reading about it was like on point. Like, this is legit going to make your life better. And, having these, adding these, taking these, it's good for your immune system. It was good for all those things. And it seemed legit. So maybe I could throw in with something like that. But I'm not trying to sell things that I don't believe in, like, products that, are supposed to make the room smell good, but you have to change them every X amount of hours. That's not convenient. I'm a mom of 6. It's not a good product. Anyway, so I'm selling heavenly sketches, but I believe, obviously, in my religion, I believe in my God. And if I've been taught that you have to save somebody so they don't go to hell, then I'm going to throw in with you, even though I don't like pressuring people, because I believe if you have a really great product, you don't have to pressure people. For instance, we don't pressure people to buy song reactions. We tell people that it's available and people buy the song reactions. Nobody's being pressured to buy song reactions. And we get repeat customers. People like it. People enjoy that, and we enjoy doing it. It's a great thing. But this... So Ready to Explode in Purity, like, it was, you always had to put everything, your best foot forward on everything. You had to be, I felt like I had to be this perfect person, and it always had to be jolly and happy, because if I wasn't, then I figured I'm not happy, I'm not completely happy, but I knew that you couldn't have depression and be a Christian, or I thought that.
I was going to say, you need to qualify that.
Yeah, so I thought that.
You thought you couldn't be a Christian.
Because that's what I was told.
Okay.
So... I thought maybe I'm doing something wrong, but this is available to other people.
What did you think was happening in the Psalms?
In the Psalms?
Since nobody could be depressed.
Well, I just figured, no, you have a reason. I mean, David killed people. He did a census and got tons of people killed. He had somebody's husband killed after he slept with their wife. Like, he did some really scummy, terrible things.
So depression is only for people who've committed serious crimes.
Well, yeah, I didn't kill anybody or... I see.
Okay,
right there,
continue.
I was ready to explode in purity.
Okay.
Okay. An ever-moving stream with glowing rays of light, emotions tied to past lies, and I know I should let it go. I found a flame to burn out in the ash. Anyway, so that idea that something is connected to the past, that there are emotions tied to it, but it's actually like a lie. Like, I can kind of feel that sometimes, like, when... We were taught, like a lot of people, probably people listening right now, think that the way to get to heaven is to do good things, to be a good person. That's like everybody's thing. We were taught, no, it's completely that Jesus died on the cross, and because he died, like, he took the punishment for your sin. So because he did that, you're in the clear if you're thrown in with him. But at the same time, like, I felt very much like I had to do a lot of good things to basically kind of like prove that I was in, because you could always lose your spot, is again something else that we were taught that I don't believe anymore. But I'm distracted by many things right now.
Maybe Sori was depressed because she didn't kill anyone.
Right. Anyway, so there's I do think when he says emotions tied to past lies, like, I think that you can feel certain ways and remember certain things, and things can feel, but they are connected to things that were not true. And then he says, I know I should let go. And maybe he means of his controlling religion, or I don't know. What do you think that it is?
Well, yeah, I think it can be anything. I think he uses terms like religious terms because religious people are the people that generally fall into that kind of situation. Mm-hmm. It's easiest for religious people to fall into that because a lot of the structures around externalized religion have to do with what you look like outwardly, and there's not much concern for what's going on with a person inwardly.
Right.
So the propensity to project heavenly sketches and to project, an emotional lie, because when he talks about the lies of his past life, it doesn't necessarily mean that he told the lie. It could also mean something that you believed in your past that you now know is no longer true. Mm-hmm. Right. So, and that also happens on the other side. I know personally atheists who have an experience with God, met God, logically convinced that there has to be a God, whatever, and they've had to project a certain thing. Mm-hmm. I've known, I'm being very general here, I've known people that have done moderated debates with me that argued stridently on the other side of a given topic, and I'm being very vague because I want to protect the name of this person. who then came back to me later and said, oh yeah, everything you said was true. But is projecting something completely opposite, the exact opposite of what they debated me on. Mm-hmm. And one of the reasons I feel so comfortable with not saying who the person was and explicating exactly what happened is because they did so terrible in the debate that I'm like, well, you know, if this person were to influence somebody to go in this direction, they can just watch that and see very clearly, like, holy shit, if this is the best defense for this practice, then we're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, like, yeah, definitely, like, there are religious constructs that encourage, but every subculture does this. Mm-hmm. If you were a Metallica fan in the 80s, you couldn't like, you know, Megadeth. You had to, like, be in the closet and like Megadeth. Like, everybody does this, but, you know, Chad said something really, the only way you can see a shadow is if there's some sort of light. Mm-hmm. And so I think what's happening is there's everybody who's holding on, I don't want to say a bullshit system, because you can hold on to a true, which is what I look at for me. You can hold on to something that's true and real for bullshit reasons. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, your parents could make a mistake and tell you the right thing. So for example, here's a risky one. One would be, you know, girls who wear sexually revealing clothes are responsible for the actions that the man does. Now, that is a bullshit reason. But in the world, in a practical level, a girl who has that kind of mentality, if she applies it in the real world, will probably be safe at night in the Bronx. But that's a bullshit reason. So you could be right for a bullshit reason, is what I'm saying. You could end up doing the right thing in the world or doing a healthy thing in the world for a wrong reason, and that wrong reason ends up being more destructive than the thing that you're trying to protect against. Mm-hmm. So what I think in the song, ultimately the message of the song is, sometimes in life there are life situations that shine a light on your bullshit reasons.
That's really good. Yeah.
Not necessarily your bullshit actions, because the actions might actually result in something positive. But I do think that when you have, because at the end of the day, all of life is about mentation for most of us. Like the mental exercise of your interpretation of reality. And we don't even have to get like weird like Hoffman and all the rest of it. You just know. You know this just as a point of growing up. When you were growing up, you thought that your dad was 15 feet tall, and now you realize as an adult, no, he was like a regular sized guy, right? So we know that our perceptions grow over time. So I think what's happening is, in the song, there are life events and situations that shed light on mentalities that are not consistent with reality. And then you get confronted with, are you going to drop this thing when he says, I know I should let go? Mm-hmm. Or are you going to hold on to it? And that's where you get my sweet shadow, because it's something that it's dark and it's bad, and it's, you know, Jung explicitly calls it the shadow self. There's parts. What's interesting is that in Christianity, you are told to be at war with your shadow self. You're told to crucify it. In Jung's ideology, you're not told to crucify it. You're told to integrate it.
Yeah.
Which is very interesting. And I think there's a reason for that. Jung is not tapping into God's power. Jung is looking at the shadow self from a purely human perspective. So from a human perspective, you can never overcome your shadow. So it's one of those, if you can't beat them, join them situations. Christianity says you can't overcome your shadow either. Not that you should integrate it. You should always be at war with it, and God will give you supernatural power to overcome your shadow. So Jung says, I see how crazy the shadow is. We cannot overcome it. So the best thing you can do is integrate it. God says, yeah, have you seen your shadow? It's impossible to overcome. Here's a bunch of situations that will shed light on the fact that you yourself cannot overcome your shadow. And so God himself has to be so bright, because there is a kind of brightness that eliminates all shadows. Mm. And so You know, that's kind of the idea. But it's a very, very intricate song with a lot
so
of
interesting how I forgot
interesting
about that.
angles. Go ahead. What were you saying?
It's just so weird. It's so weird how many things I've forgotten about that are wildly important things.
Yeah.
Because I've been thinking a lot about the integration of the shadow self and how that works out in practical life. And I do think that there is some use to it in the sense of to know what you're capable of. Because I've spent an awful lot of time hiding my head in the sand, so to speak, so I don't see how I never wanted to see how bad I really could be. You know what I mean? So I get, but you're right though. That's why philosophy has to be mixed with biblical ideology. You know what it's interesting too.
Well, that's why everybody's trying to create a theory of everything. People start to see that all these disciplines are not. They're not separate from each other.
Yes.
And we want to believe, like for example,
Yes.
I'm looking at Vlad right now. Vlad's talking about these ancient you had reasons for believing the correct thing, but the opposite is also true. Believing that the sun rises and sets because we couldn't escape an earthbound perspective. Well, one way of looking at ancient people is to say, oh yeah, they all believe that. Another way of looking at it is to say that to this day in 2021, we still use terms like sunrise and sunset. Well, the sun doesn't rise or set.
Right.
But in 2021, with all of our scientific knowledge, we still use that
the same.
terminology. It's
Yeah.
because we're speaking phenomenologically. In other words, we're speaking from the perspective of what we see. All of us have an understanding that the sun doesn't move or set. It's the same thing when the sun says that the sun does its circuit like a strong man in his youth. Like, there's no Hebrew person. I know people think that Hebrew, they were just dumb. We're smart, but they're dumb. Okay. These are the same people that invented the wheel and fire and pyramids. But, like, when they're saying it, there's this assumption, oh, they didn't know what we know, so they all took it. No, they didn't. There's no Hebrew that believed that the trees actually had hands and clapped. Now, I think it's probably possible now that because I have the accumulated knowledge enough, I'm advanced enough to know that there are situations in which trees could be sentient and clap their hands. But the people back then didn't have that technology, so they just looked at it like metaphorical, which people don't understand what I just said.
I know, yeah.
People don't get what I said.
There.
And that's because the template
But
that
you
we
have to have all that information.
Correct. But and that's why I said, like, even like discovering, I was just rewatching my conversation with Jambi. You know, we're talking about the assembly line and the turbines.
Yep.
We did not discover the intricacy of these biomachines until we had reference points for them. So we did not discover that this thing was spinning as fast as an airplane turbine until we had advanced enough to invent airplane turbines.
Exactly.
Then we figured it out.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And none of us sit back and say, you know, if we hadn't figured out airplane turbines yet, we would have had no idea what we're looking at. If we didn't know what assembly lines were and all the rest of it in the Industrial Revolution, we have no idea what we're looking at. And it's that kind of stuff where I'm like, isn't that curious to you?
Isn't it concerning?
Strange. We're in a very strange universe. But my point is that whatever your worldview is, there's always going to be something, whether it's a meta view, like a theory of everything, or even your own personal self-understanding of who you are as a person, or who this person is, or whatever you believe. There's always going to come a crisis point when the fundamentals of that belief system are challenged. And you can either go with the light or cling to your sweet shadow, which I think is and it's very, very interesting because at the end of the song, he says, from depths that I created in vain echoes fade. So he's saying vain echoes. And then it says, my sweet shadow, to you I look no more.
I like that part.
So he's no longer, he's saying he's going to let go of that. And so that is a very terrifying thing. Whether it's the atheist who's coming out and saying, okay, I'm a Christian now, whether it's the pro blah 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 person that will come back behind you and say, no, that's all bullshit what I was just saying. Like, everybody gets confronted, and then it's like, okay, what are you going to do with that information? And that's a terrifying moment for people. And that's why we love to look at other people. So if we're atheists, we love to say, look at these religious hypocrites and all their cognitive dissonance. And if we're Christians, we love to go, oh, look at those atheists. They don't have any explanation for yada, as if there's no problems. There's no philosophical issues with your world. You have to make a decision and say, I'm going to embrace that or pretend not look at it and just hang out in darkness. So there you go.
That's interesting.
I love the song. This Chad guy. He's like a sniper. They're very, very.
Yeah. I think another thing too is the shadow, my sweet shadow, to you I look no more. I think that there are. Might be a little bit dangerous to say, but there are bad habits or bad behaviors that sometimes we engage in simply to survive a certain phase of our lives or a certain event in our lives, and you can't hold on to those bad negative shadows, those bad things that helped you get through, because that's not how regular life is going to function.
Okay, she preaching.
So I think that's one thing that I'm trying to relearn for myself. I was talking to one of the kids about self-pity, because we have one child that always wants to pull out the self-pity in every situation. It's unbelievable. And so, I've been talking to him about it, and he's like,
it does match his birth order though, but go ahead.
It does. He's like, Mom, how do you deal with your self-pity? What have you done to overcome that? I said, I'm still dealing with my self-pity. It's much easier to just say the truth instead of like,
no shit.
I'm like, you haven't? Nope. You have a head start. You're X amount of years old. You have a head start on working on this now.
And perfection.
But literally self-pity will destroy you. It makes it impossible to see what the real problem is, because you're so busy trying to feel like, oh, you're poor. Where's the salve for my poor little self? So it's not helpful at all, especially in relationships. So yeah. So this is a good one. What are you giving this one?
AT says, bad advertising, but this channel helped me decide that church is BS, but also made me aware of my own inconsistencies. Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Well,
I mean,
I don't know if that's a bad advertisement or not, but
yeah.
I first of all, I have no agenda for this channel other than what we've said a million times.
Right.
But if a person rejects what they call church because of us, I'm not necessarily certain that that's a bad thing. Mm-hmm. That'll be up for Allah.
Yeah,
they'll be up for Allah to decide. But it just depends on who's listening, right? Because we got some of you stalking ass motherfuckers who have no life that just keep following. Man, go and fucking be happy, man. Honestly. But they always come back with some report. You know what? Now people don't like church because of them. No. It's like, yeah, it might save their soul, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And running into people like you, they probably don't like church. Okay. This is another 10 for me, man. This is another 10 because lyrically, this is a very insightful song. And it's massively, I don't think I've ever seen that kind of self-awareness for a very long time. He's calling it My Sweet Shadow. He's saying, I won't look at you no more. Like, I love that shit.
Okay, it was going to get a 7 because I wasn't like a huge fan. I'm going to bump it to a 7.9 because of what you said about the awareness. The man has awareness. We got to appreciate that. All right.
Yeah, and as Chad says, where two or more are together in discussion, the Bible calls that church. There you go. That's
Welcome
enough.
to church, folks.
That's a metal church, bitches. What'd you learn at church today? Bitches. Oh, we're going to hell. Vin out.
More than that. Sorry, out.
Oh, what a disaster. That shit is fun. All right, guys, we got one more song. We should have said that. We should have hey, if you're a blame, blah, 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 we got another song.